Hi, and welcome to Season 2 of That's Ruddy Mysterious, a podcast of short tales about true mysteries. What created the Potomsky crater? Who was involved in the 1963 Great Train Robbery? I'm not going to solve those mysteries, but they'll be interesting to learn about. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. Transcripts and references for all episodes can be found at that'sruddymysterious.wordpress.com. No apostrophe and no exclamation point. Today's tale is about the Phaistos Disc. Philologist John Chadwick helped Michael Ventris decipher Linear B. He said of Phaistos Disc, "If King Minos himself were to reveal to someone in a dream the true interpretation, it would be quite impossible for him to convince anyone else that this was the one and only possible solution." The Minoans were a Bronze Age civilization that ruled over current-day Crete and the Aegean Sea and the Mediterranean for 2,000 years. Their empire was the first sophisticated civilization in Europe. They had an evolving language. In their early days, from about 1850 BC, they used Linear A. Later, and less commonly used, was Linear B, which evolved from Linear A to apparently write an early form of Greek. Linear B has been deciphered, although Linear A has not. The Phaistos Disc was found in the basement of the old palace of Minoan Phaistos, which was one of the great Minoan palaces, on July 3, 1908. The palace was used between 1900 and 1700 BC. The disc was discovered on the island of Crete by Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernier. No archives were found in this place at all. In fact, there seemed to be no trace of any writing in the palace at all until the disc was found. Money had been running out for the dig, and Pernier was desperate for his big break, which he got when he found the disc. On this basis, some claim that the disc was a fraud. However, the archaeological context is trustworthy, and so is the dating of the disc. The disc dates to the same period in which Cretan hieroglyphic and Linear A coexisted on the island. The disc was found near a tablet engraved with Linear A, which suggests the disc is real. The Phaistos disc is a disc made of fired clay. It is about 16 centimeters, or 5.9 inches in diameter, and between 2.1 and 2.6 centimeters, or about 0.8 to 1 inch thick. The size variations indicate that the disc was handmade. The disc is covered on both sides with stamped symbols. There are 242 symbols in a spiral positioning, with hand-drawn lines also included. There are 45 different pictographic signs. The disc was ahead of its time, with characters all in a row and stamped, making the disc a rare find. The symbols are separated into groups of between 2 and 7 symbols by vertical lines. There are 61 groups of symbols. The symbols appear to be oriented to the right. There is a man walking and a face looking to the right. This suggests that the symbols should be read from the center outwards. However, some of the symbols are oriented vertically and point toward the center of the disc. Phaistos disc was purposely fired at a high temperature to ensure longevity, which was unusual for fired clay pieces of the time. Linear A tablets and clay documents with Cretan hieroglyphics were only conserved because they burned in fires that destroyed the palaces in which they were found. It's believed that Phaistos disc may date back to the Middle or Late Minoan Bronze Age, which occurred during the 2nd millennium BC. It may have been created between 1850 and 1550 BC. Most scholars believe that the disc is authentic, although some are not convinced. The disc is currently on display at the Archaeological Museum of Heraklion. While some believe the disc is a fake, there are some strong arguments that it is actually from the Minoan civilization during this time period. These include the fact that the disc contains popular Minoan artistic motifs like dolphins, cats, lilies, and crocuses. The arrangement of the symbols in the disc in a spiral is also evidence of the Minoan origin. The language used on the disc has never been fully decoded. The symbols are not part of any known alphabet, however some of them do resemble those used in Linear A and Linear B, which were ancient languages of Minoans. Some of the symbols on the disc resemble those found in ancient Anatolian sites. Similar but not identical symbols were found in bronze that was found at Arcalacori in central Crete. A Mohican head symbol on the disc is similar to 3 clay statues found in a cave shrine of Triostelos in Crete. The cave shrine was in use between 1700 and 1600 BC. There are 45 symbols that appear to be stamped individually. Some of the symbols appear to have been stamped, erased, and stamped again. No stamps have been found yet. The fact that stamps were used suggests that other discs were made or planned. The symbols are nearly all recognizable. There are men in varying poses, a woman, a fish, a flower, a jar, axes, a bee, a dove, and many other figures, some of which are repeated. In addition to the 242 symbols, there are dashes and dotted bars in the clay. The dashes and slanted lines appear to be hand-drawn. They always appear to the left of the symbols within a group. However, the dashes are not present in every group. There are several potential explanations for the dashes. They could be markers at the start of a word, or they may be prefixes, suffixes, extra letters, verse and stanza dividers, or even punctuation marks. It's also possible that the dashes are accidental marks. Dotted lines appear on the outer edge of the spiral on both sides. These dotted lines could mean the beginning or end of the text, or they could be chapter markers linking this disc to other discs, which together would form one continuous text. The significance of the symbols on the disc is under debate, both for what they literally represent and their linguistic meaning. There are too few symbols for the language to be purely pictographic, but too many symbols for it to be an alphabet. It's believed that the writing is most likely using a syllabary writing system. If this is the case, each symbol is a syllable, and each group of symbols represents a word. This is the same system as the later Mycenaean Linear B. However, syllabary systems usually have an even distribution of symbols within a given text, and that is not the case with the Phaistos Disc. There are several theories as to what the Phaistos Disc may be. Some believe it is a hymn to an earth goddess. It may be a court list or the index of religious centers. It could be a letter of greeting, or maybe a fertility ritual. It's possible the disc is a list of musical notes. Without other discs or something like the Rosetta Stone, we may never decipher the Phaistos Disc. Some believe the disc may be a game like Chutes and Ladders. Mehen is a game played by Egyptians on circular tablets. It's possible this is a similar game. Some even argue that the Phaistos Disc is a message from aliens or a portal to a hidden dimension. Gareth Owens is a linguist, archaeologist, and coordinator of the program Erasmus of Crete Technological Institute. In September of 2023, he said the mystery of the disc has been solved by 99%. Owens spent 30 years studying Phaistos Disc. He says the Minoan goddess of love, Astarte, is the key to figuring out what the disc means. Owens said, "We are reading the Phaistos Disc with the vocal values of Linear B and with the help of comparative linguistics, i.e. comparing with other relative languages from the Indo-European language family. Reading something, however, does not mean understanding." According to Owens' research, the disc is a religious text to a pregnant goddess, the goddess of love, Astarte. Owens said, "There is no doubt that we are talking about a religious text. This is clear from a comparison made with other religious words from other inscriptions from the holy mountains of Crete. We have words that are exactly the same." He believes the disc may be a hymn for Astarte. Words like those found on the discs have also been found in Minoan offerings. The Magliano disc was found in 1880 in Italy. It has a similar shape to the Phaistos disc and also has similar symbols on it. While the form is similar, the languages are different. The text on the Magliano disc was identified as Etruscan. To date, this is the only other disc of its kind that has been found. Luigi Pernier must have known about the Magliano disc when he found Phaistos Disc. What was Phaistos Disc for? Was it religious text, or a hymn, or even a game? What do you think? Thanks for listening to today's episode of That's Ruddy Mysterious. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a review and follow That's Ruddy Mysterious to be updated about new episodes. Tune in next Tuesday for another thought-provoking tale.